Hi, everyone. My name is Shaman Shah. I lead the Insights and Data team for tech and digital markets at Capgemini. So today we're going to talk about a specific use case that we took to live to production for our customers. So thank you for attending. So let's jump right in. So T-Connectivity, who is that? T-Connectivity is one of the large electronics manufacturing company. If you have an EV car, you possibly have their connectors inbuilt there. They're spread globally in 3 different continents and a total of around 16 billion in revenue, and they make almost 235 billion products in a given year. Huge number of products they ship, and they have a huge number of engineers that build those products, about 8 to 10,000 engineers. So one of the biggest challenges for those engineers every day is to bring out new product enhancements and scan the entire repository to really find how do they improve the products, how do they customize the products. So one of the challenges that was thrown to us was, how do you make product design better? Now, product design in itself is very complex. When you have all the different types of documents across different locations, right? And you have, very little exposure to SMEs. SME time is very valuable there because they are mostly used for solving critical problems. But if a new engineer joins, how do you make the knowledge of the enterprise available to that one engineer easily? It's not easy. They have to go through hours of trainings to even get to a certain level of maturity. There are other stuff, like engineers' analytical skills are there. The time they take, the productivity of the engineer, everything comes together when you do product design and research. Plus, the most important thing is, how do you access a huge volume of data in a short time frame, which almost sometimes becomes humanly impossible. And the complexity becomes even more when the data is structured as well as unstructured, or there is different level of data classification. Like as a senior exec, they will have access to certain data. Architects, different data. A manager or an engineer will have access to different data. So when you're putting all of them in the AI realm, how do you give them access based on their role? So that was another complexity that we had to deal with. Plus, all of these engineers are globally present, around 10,000 spread across 3 or 4 continents. So all of this put together, it was extremely complex to do product design, and it sometimes takes days or if not weeks. So the more important thing is, what did the business want? The business I want 10x increase in product research. They want to accelerate collection of data, summarization of data, and making recommendation for product enhancement. Then it also improves the design cycle lifetime. How long does it take to improve the product design? Or how long does it take to find an alternate component that can be used in the product? Like they want to find a more sustainable component that can work under a certain temperature or certain velocity, in a certain velocity car or moving car. And be the one-stop shop for all knowledge for the enterprise. That was one of the more important asks. So all these complexities put together, I would like you to introduce to the platform that we built for them. It's called Tell Me. It literally tells you what you want to know. So the name is designed it. It is T-Connectivity's Gen AI-based platform for searchings and summarization. And we are building more features to it. I'm going to cover that in a second. So when we launched the first 1.0 production, we wanted to make it very easy for people to use. It should not be complex. It should be very intuitive. We ingested 2.5 million documents. And then we also created a very simple, people are very used to ChatGPT or other chat tools. So it is like we didn't want to create a whole new interface. We wanted to keep it simple. We built a secured access. That was one of the basic requirements to go live. And finally, we also was scaling it across multiple AWS zones. That was also important because we had to make sure that the application is scalable and easily available. Now we are in 1.1 development, so I will introduce my co-conspirator, Minal, from AWS.
Thank you, Somin. Hello all, Mrinal Daftari here from AWS. I'm a senior solution architect. And today I will walk you through what engineering things we did within Tellme. So as Somin mentioned, like this data looks across thousands and millions of documents to help improve day-to-day life for our product engineers. So we started with 2.5 million documents, but our ultimate goal is to 75 million documents. So we are ingesting data one by one, and next target is 8 million. But the reason we are keep on enhancing is we have such a nice UI user interface, which is intuitive enough to teach the new users to understand how to ask questions, what type of questions are being asked, and we also present them citations so they can have more trust. And that has helped us earn the trust from users. And now we are further expanding it and making really automated. But now we have earned the big trust from the customers, our end users. We are enhancing it further. As Somin mentioned, TE connectivity has millions of products. That means they have new data coming every now and then. So what if there is no document available, is not vectorized? Can they still get the information they are looking for? And that is where we are giving them this upload a file feature where they can immediately interact and get the information they were missing or was not already in the part of the reg architecture we have. So it's a really intuitive user experience we are going to deliver. And the most important thing is now we have earned their trust. We have a secure place on their devices. So what we can do better to keep them driving back to our user application, right? So that is where we are going to make Tellme talk to outside of T connectivity's data, like make it like a generative AI assistant. So you could say like, hey, Tellme, help me plan like my reInvent Las Vegas trip, and it should do it because now we are based on what question you are asking, it is intelligently going to drive your questions to a different databases. Let's look Tellme in actually live demo.
Welcome to Tellme, TE Connectivity's GenAI-powered R&D engineering accelerator. Tellme is a search and summarization platform designed to simplify information retrieval and accelerate decision-making across engineering and product development teams. By accessing complex technical data across millions of documents, Tellme enables TE connectivity to leverage both internal enterprise data and open internet data it was originally trained on. Let's explore how Tellme empowers 8,000 to 10,000 users with the power of AI. Tellme's advanced search capabilities allow users to access structured and unstructured data quickly. Whether it's a specific part number, technical guideline, or complex document, Tellme provides direct, relevant results. For example, in this case, we have asked what are the top 5 connectors from TE used in electronic vehicles. Tellme doesn't just search, it also summarizes complex documents and links to original sources. This feature is especially valuable for teams who need quick insights but still want the ability to dive deeper when necessary. We can keep adding millions of datasets from many original sources, which would have taken hours if not days for an engineer to access and summarize. Let's take a look at how Tellme summarizes a technical guideline document while providing direct access to the source files. Tellme also ensures that data security is maintained. TE has 4 levels of security from general access to highly restricted access. With role-based access, users see only the information from documents they have access to and authorization to view. This ensures compliance with company policies and protects sensitive data. Tellme is designed for scale, supporting 8,000 to 10,000 users daily. It operates across regions to provide global access to TE's workforce, with future expansions planned to serve 80,000 TE employees worldwide. With Tellme, we're continually adding data sources and use cases to meet the evolving needs of TE connectivity. Tellme is designed to replace existing siloed text or keyword based search platforms across the enterprise, providing a unified, intelligent, and modern alternative. By integrating data from multiple sources into one platform, Tellme helps TE eliminate redundant tools, streamline operations, and improve efficiency. With Tellme, TE connectivity gains a powerful tool for faster decision making, secure information access, and improved productivity across teams. Thank you for watching this demo. Tellme combines AWS's power with user focused features to transform document processing and retrieval.
So now, after seeing a demo, let's take an architecture, right? This looks like a building blocks of this architecture we put together. So you start at lower left corner here with the user experience. So let's say user is asking a question. Now that question is supported by our AWS Lambda in a serverless manner. Plus, we are combining the AWS step functions because their question could, prompt a query to go to either T's data source, which we have vectorized and stored in OpenSearch to get a response, or it could mean to, redirect to Amazon Bedrock agents. So that is where, depending on what type of question is asked, intelligently it is going to route the question to get the correct response. Now, to help our Bedrock and our LLMs how to formulate the response of asked question, let's take a look at the right-hand side where we have a lot of different variety of data sources, as Somin mentioned. It's structured or unstructured. So what we are doing is we are ingesting them into ephemeral data lake, and then we are applying AI pre-processing and processing to make it vectorized, enable, and we store as an embeddings into Amazon OpenSearch. And in between, we are applying a lot of chunking, indexing, and reindexing strategies to get the desired response. So when user is asking now question, LLM knows where to search. It has the data available, and then it can use its abilities to make or form an answer which a normal user can understand in a non-technical language, and if required technical language based on what type of prompt is being asked. And in future, we are also planning, as I was explaining in earlier slide, that operation and management aspect, whether it's data pipeline, security aspect, looking like how the observability of the system is, would be automated as well. Since the beginning, we had scalability and frugality in our mind. So this whole architecture was built on AWS step function and serverless Lambda. We were using ECS as well. But one important thing I wanted to focus here is whenever we think the Gen AI based application, what comes in mind is like how consistent or how speedy the response would be. So typical approach is people thought to spend money in like expensive provision throughput, but that is where AWS shines with the cross-region inference feature. As you can see in the diagram, what cross-region inference does is basically it ensures that if it observes high throttle in a particular primary region, seamlessly it is going to route your traffic on the secured backbone networks of AWS without your data leaving the VPC to give the same response to the users, so they are never experiencing that lag or slackiness with the responses, and they are still on paying on-demand prices, which is compared to very cheap compared to provision throughput. So this scalability enables us for even future application which we are onboarding on this platform. So definitely, I have been talking about the post-go live outcomes. Like we have 8,000 happy engineers. I would say generally our expectation was to have 50% acceptance rate, but we have around 72% acceptance rate. That is because of our user interface, intuitive things we have built. Prompt engineering we have enabled in the UI interface itself as well. It is effectively searching and summarizing, but in addition to that, it helps our product engineers to even do or become their coding up companion, because now they like to code and ask the question about their coding as well. And at the end, we were able to deliver it in a record time. Now, every successful solution also has some learning. I would say whenever you think about Gen AI application, you need to think about your data and your data strategies. How you want to approach your data is key, because if you are going to not have a proper data maintenance, your vectorization, which is key for any successful Gen AI application, could become expensive, right? You need to be very careful what type of data we are going to store, what type of data we are going to keep up to date or refresh is going to be key for a successful Gen AI application, because it needs that valid and proper data to form the answers. Now let's take a look at the final
So,
Jenny
so
out.
I think continuing from what Mrinal was just covered about getting your data ready, we also really look at what state of maturity or what part of AI is being used for your applications. And this is what we create a capability model that we recommend to our customers around the 4 levels. AI can do perceive, which is just observe and tell you what is wrong. It can analyze and tell you why is it wrong. It can prescribe and tell you how to fix it. And the final version is the closed loop AI, which is the furthest AI maturity model, which says, oh, don't worry about it, I can fix it for you. So we really are taking this as our framework to build all the different Gen AI applications. Now we actually had planned for one of our sponsors to be present at this event. Phil, he could not make it to the event, but this is a quote from what he covered for us, but then he recorded a live message for all of you guys that I would like to play for a couple of minutes.
When technology connects, so does humanity. No matter how small it begins, every connection has the power to engineer something bigger, to imagine a better world, and bring us together to make it happen. Beyond creating a safer, sustainable, more productive world, TE Connectivity is engineering possibility, engineering hope, engineering the future.
This is Philip Gilchrist. I'm the Chief Transformation Officer for TE, the biggest company you've never heard of. I really wish I could be at reInvent with you to tell you all about TellMe, a project between TE, Capgemini, and AWS. TellMe is our internal version of a large language model based on Claude 3.5. What's special about TellMe is that we believe this will be the main knowledge repository of TE's knowledge. Our belief is that over time, TellMe will come to represent some intellectual knowledge of the company in one form or another. But not only that, it's a knowledge base that can be kind of put into action. We have about 75 million engineering documents in the company. They're spread around about 66 different databases, and probably even more people don't really recognize on laptops and so on. So the big challenge for finding the needle in the haystack is not just there's one haystack, there's at least 66 different haystacks. What that large language model will enable them to do is to address that piece of information right up front within seconds, rather than within a morning of trawling through extraneous documents. We were very impressed with how responsive the team was. They did respond in time, sometimes overnight, which was great. They were thorough. They anticipated, really what we were really asking. Based on that flexibility, that background, that proven experience, we felt Capgemini and AWS was the right solution for us. And we certainly haven't been disappointed in that. That was the right choice.
So with that, we come to the end of the presentation.